Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back, or welcome to another Bangs audio review. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're getting excited for one of the last weekends of the summer. I am going camping with the family Sunday for a few days. We were going to trek to the Adirondacks, but not at this point, as the weather forecast up there looks pretty rainy. So we did that last year in the rain, and even though it was still fun, it was wet and muddy and soggy and not as much fun as it could have been. So we're going to end up staying local, which is kind of cool. Little park, I think, called Fairhaven State Park. There's an actual sand beach there on the southern shore of Lake Ontario. If you want to Google where we're going to be, tent camping and chilling out, doing some grilling, of course, and fishing and all that good stuff. So really looking forward to that. That also means I may actually still have internet access, in which case I might post a photo or two while we're out there, but not sure yet. At any rate, between now and Sunday, my goal was to get the CCA Hydro done, along with the Alpha Onyx Alpha X11 11T1, whatever that is. But at this point, I think it's safe to say that the IVIPQ V12, which we're doing right now, and possibly the Alpha will get done before I'm offline for a few days. At any rate, that's where we're at. Today's beauty is the IVIPQ V12. There's no box again, so there won't be an unbox, but I can show you what comes with it. So get this amazing 7N4 core modular cable with a 4.4 and a 3.5 single-headed termination. Again, with the friction or resistance, but it's very, very secure, so you won't have to worry about that coming off on you unless you yank on it real hard. 3.5, and then a single set of ear tips. There's the 3.5 still in the baggie. It came with several, like dime bags, nickel bags, whatever you want to call them, to keep everything separate. But I have tucked those into the drawer of confusion for future use. So we'll see. I save way too much stuff. Not quite at the hoarding level, but well, maybe if you ask my wife, as far as electronics go. The silicone ear tips I did not use, again, because I had difficulty getting a proper seal with them. If you're in this price range, I'm assuming you have your own favorite ear tips. I actually went back to the regular bore Divinus Velvet for the primarily for the testing. The wide bore, they weren't necessary because of the amount of trouble that is involved with this set. And don't be scared, okay? It's not like too trebly or too bright. It just has plenty, so you don't need to go wide bore unless you absolutely have to. But my recommendation would be anything normal bore to slightly wider bore at the most. And you could even go down. I did use the final E-tips with that super narrow bore, and they sounded great with that too. They weren't super tip dependent, which was nice. They weren't super source dependent either, which was cool. It just means that these are pretty great. They're pretty great IEMs because they didn't suffer any sort of performance issues. Whether it was a little dongle like the EPZ, TP11, TP12 worked fine with them as well. So no problem driving them. I would say probably better to have some sort of dongle DAC versus just the straight dongle on them for their performance. I feel like a little more power is a good thing for them, although they don't necessarily require it. Speaking of specs, let's do those so we can get those out the way. From the IVIPQ store, there are two of them. I will get into the differences on AliExpress, because one of them right now is a little bit better price on the V12 and V13, but the other one has all the goodies, which I'll show you and link again in the description. But for purposes of sale price, I will link this product link that has the lower price of $162.19. They're usually around $185. So right in that wheelhouse with things like the SL41, Mark II and Performer 5 and Aviation. What's the one? Oh yeah, Adonis. Those types of things are right in the same sort of price range as this, which makes the comp pretty easy to do, which is nice. So you've got a 16 ohm resistance, you've got a sensitivity of 109 decibels, and frequency response range from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. The configuration is 2 DDs, just like the V13, a 10 millimeter and a 6 millimeter, taking care of the lower frequencies and a little bit of the mids. But in this case, you have 6 balanced armature units. They don't list, name brand or whatever, so I'm going with custom. Depending on where you look, it says 3 high, 3 mid, or 4 mid, 2 high. I don't really care because the mids and the highs both sound fantastic, so whether it's 4.2 or 3.3, to me it doesn't really make that much of a difference. And obviously with the sonic impressions, I will get into why that is the case, why I'm not nitpicking on that at all, which I'm not. And then your 4-core 7N single crystal copper cable, which again, as I said, is modular. So there you go, there's your specs. There's the absence of the box, which again doesn't bother me because the case is quite sturdy, and it's big enough if you want to throw in something like the Onyx Alpha or the TP30. You can do so in this, along with a selection of ear tips if you want to do some tip rolling. Like for on the go, it's not exactly pocketable, but definitely baggable because it's very sturdy. I wouldn't call it waterproof though, so don't throw it in the lake or the ocean. But yeah, so pretty simple. There's a little cable management Velcro thingy that I take off because they drive me crazy, generally speaking. And it's a nice sort of navy blue black with a black zipper. It's good. Okay, it's good. It'd be one thing if they sent these without a box and the case was crap, but the case is actually very, very high quality. So no complaints there. We'll set this on top of the V13. Onto the build. As I may have mentioned a couple of times already, the cable is fabulous. Virtually no memory, non-tangly, feels very high quality. Not as soft as your like Triple and Zoni cable, but I don't care because it's just super high quality. You've got good stress or strain relief on the connection points here. Termination, obviously gold plated. Not super easy to take off, but you don't want that anyway. Just line up the dot with the groove and you're all set there. And then a flush 2-pin connection on the IEMs themselves. So should you want to, though you won't need to, should you want to cable swap, it's pretty easy. On the build itself, it's very, as you can see, similar in style to the V13, so I wouldn't say there's really necessarily any upgrade. It is bigger. It's a bigger shell, so not Truth or Nova big, but bigger. So on the fit, if you have smaller ears, potentially could be an issue. My outer ear physiology is on the medium small side. I didn't find them uncomfortable at all. I didn't find any hot points or fatigue points for wearing these for long periods of time. So I would say, unless you have unusually small ears, you're going to be in pretty good shape as far as the fit goes. And the faceplate, this time without the gold or copper, still has IVIPQ underneath the faceplate in gold. So there's some gold, sorry. But the rest of it is kind of a shimmery silver, as far as the swirls and so on, decoration goes on the faceplate. And then the shell itself is kind of again, a smoky, maybe slightly bluish color to it, which is pretty nice. And you can see inside to see all of those drivers and their corresponding acoustic tubes, which end in a medium length nozzle, which accepts just about any kind of ear tip that you would want. And of course, Divinus Velvet is the king of ear tips for me personally. Getting them under a set for under 20 on sale, I think is something, and I will link them, something that everybody should have that's shopping in this price range. There's really kind of no excuse not to have a set of Divinus Velvets. If you haven't experienced them yet, they are excellent. They are just plain and simple excellent. How come I can't? Oh yeah, because I'm thinking it's the left, not the right. And work that in there. Good, done. I've got sets where the connection is kind of loose, to the point where, like with the ULIM by Continuum, like I actually super glued a triple in modular cable to those because I was tired of them falling out. No such issues at all with the Conch V12. So let's get into some sonic impressions, shall we? And I will bring up the graph, which I did post in the community, so we can look at that together. It graphed out like really well, in my opinion. It looks like it sounds, and that, as you can see, is going to be on the neutral side. Okay? Neutral does not mean boring. So let's just get that out of the way. On the sub and mid bass, I would say excellent level of mid bass presence and impact. Sub bass maybe lacks just a little bit of rumble. Nothing that, like, all right, so like Agony, Slaughter to Prevail, it did not pick up those bass drops later in the song, like 230, 245. Like it picked them up. Like it wasn't like they were absent, but they were very, very subtle. So it's not a sub bass monster by any chance. It's not a bass monster in any way. It's not a bass head IEM. It's got a very, like I said, balanced or referencey kind of tuning, but it's not like there isn't any bass. In fact, listening to hip-hop tracks, I did find that the mid-bass was just fine without throwing out a bass boost or a bass shelf. Like it was good. If you did, like if I did take the Zendak and put the bass boost on, it took that very well, meaning there was like really no issue insofar as like sound quality issues. Like it definitely took a bass boost without an issue. But I really found that, I didn't really let myself get used to the bass boost on it. So maybe if you listen to it long enough with that engaged, you might prefer it with that, but I prefer it without. And the reason I prefer it without is because, honestly, like it's one of the most, I haven't said this on too many sets, but it's one of the most resolving sets and one of the most detail-oriented sets that I have come across. So it is a detail monster or a detail beast. Okay, it is like you're not gonna miss anything at all, insofar as detail retrieval goes. And with that, and with this, it's a mild ear gain but still good energy, and then nicely extended treble. Okay, like it's got plenty, all the way up to about 14 to 15K when it trails off, but there's still energy even at 20. So if you're young enough and your ears are still picking up 20 kilohertz, mine aren't, then you'll hear it. So, and here's the other part of it, and this is why I feel like this is an absolutely justified step up from the V13. As fun as that set is, and the tuning switches and the versatility and so on and so forth, what the V12 has with those 6 BAs versus 2 is, my guess is that they're slightly better quality balanced armature units to start with, and also they are more natural, right? That's the big thing. That was one of my knocks on the V13. It's a little confusing. On the V13 was that it had a little too much bass bleed to be considered technical, like, highly technical set, and the treble was a little bit too like hissy kind of flavor to it when you got up in the upper treble. So this fixes that. It doesn't have quite as much bass as the V13 does, but the bass is high quality, it's fast, it's impactful, and it has great decay, like pretty quick decay on it. So as you can see, it doesn't overwhelm the mids at all. The mids are clear and present and just, I'm not going to call them warm. They're not warm. Nope, they're neutral. And that's sort of what the set's going for, I believe. But that treble is super extended. It presents a very large soundstage, very high, wide, and deep. And the details, of course, micro details are all very present, audible, and fairly natural. Okay, so like there isn't any of that really. Maybe just a tiny little bit of that hissiness, but I'll tell you this, that I think, and apparently, although I did not know this until my friend told me, apparently somebody else thinks that this is kind of an AFU Performer 8 clone. And I would, having had reviewed that a couple of months ago, I would say, yeah, I would say this is doing its absolute best Performer 8 imitation. And for something that is less than half of the price, or generally half of the price of the Performer 8 every day, that is a huge, huge compliment. Because anytime that you can get that level of quality, and I called that like final 5%, like we're getting into the final 5% of sound quality, and these are there for 160 or 190 when they're not on sale, versus 360 to 400, yeah, that says a lot. But the other part of it that it does have in common with the Performer 8 is that the bass is not overwhelming, and it's not a bass head set. So if you're looking for a lot of bass, like if you're looking for something like a Fat Freak level of bass and quantity and quality, you're not going to find it in this. This is just not, that's not the way they're tuned. I think they could have done that with the double dynamics. They probably could have cranked the bass up if they wanted to, but whoever did the tuning on this, that was not their intention. And their intention was for clean, detailed, balanced, natural. And they nailed it. They really did. You know, for me, running through the test tracks once through and then back, you know, circling back to try a couple of tracks again just to see if they were as high performing as I thought. Yeah, they were, and they are. And just a really satisfying complete set. Unless you're a full-on bass head, then there's not going to be enough bass for you. Yes, you can always throw on a bass shelf if you want to, and they do take it well enough, but I do feel like it does detract a bit from the overall signature of this particular set. I don't think that it's really meant for that. And, you know, that's just how it is. Does this make it into my go-to? It makes it into my winner circle. It makes it into my go-to pile, along with like the SL41 and the Canera Hodor, and oh gosh, well, I should do another top 5. These will be in it when I revisit my top 5 or top 10 sets. These will be in the top 5 based on their sound quality and natural presentation, tone, and timbre. They're a no-doubter set for me, which leads me to want to try more, because the first 2 sets that I've tried from a cable company, first and foremost, have been very impressive for their price points. The V13 for under 100, even for 109, I feel is exceptional. These for under 200, just out of this world as far as their performance goes. I can't say enough about them. So they're getting a highly recommended from me. I think that they hold up to anything and everything in that $150 to $200 price point. You know, again, maybe not the bassiest set, but that's okay, because not every set has to be that way. I know that it's been trending a little bit more to get more bass in your everyday, you know, daily drivers. I get it, you know, but I love the fact that not everybody is just doing that, because there should be room in this great big world of audio and in-ear monitors for all sorts of different styles, right? I love these. These are great. So there's really not a lot else to say about the set itself, other than I highly recommend it, and it's just a really high performance set, high sound quality, high performance set. But I did want to bring up the IVIPQ audio store page. This is the page I'm going to link so you guys can see it. They have multiple new sets that have just been released, or at least just been made available, if not just released. So sets that I am thinking of initially, of course, the Star Dragon, because as far as configuration goes, it falls right in between the V13 and the V12 with 2 DDs and 4 BAs. That for $130 right now, which I'm sure it's going to be a great value. And then the Kermang, which is their 3 BA, 1 dynamic, 1 bow and conduction. That one's got me very interested as well. Actually, they all kind of do. I mean, there's a 3 dynamic driver like the RDR1 for under $50. There's the Smurf, which I just think the color is fantastic on, which is their single DD 3 BA. The Ming King, single DD 4 BA. And then they have some all BA sets. The V11, which is an 8 BA driver setup. That's that one, sorry. And then they also have a single DD just all by itself, which is $32. So, oh yeah, here's the 10 BA set. The 10 BA set. So I might end up getting my first all balanced armature set from IVIPQ because I'm curious about them. I want to see if I'm actually going to like the bass enough to like them. Anyway, hell of a lineup. I'll link the store in the description. I will link the other store for this set because this is where it's on sale. I think here you would be paying a few dollars more. V12, no, 162. Yeah, I'll just link it all right here. I'll just link it all to this. The gentleman who provided the discount for these sets. This is his official store, so I will hook him up. Please support him if you're thinking of. Thank you, Rogue Gorilla has already purchased, I think, 4 sets from this site. So I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say about a couple that I don't have. So anyway, good on you, dude. That's going to wrap it for today. All right, I got to get back to work on the Onyx Alpha so I can get that review done before I leave. And all I have to say to you, be careful, be safe, be nice. I love y'all. Nothing but peace to you. And we will see you soon. Tomorrow, probably. Take care.